Okay. What do you see in there, Roman? You see your friend? Okay, let's go. The goats have been moved out of here. That's why you don't see no little goats right here. They're over in that other pen. And I'm letting Ivan stay here with these guys so they can all be used to each other. Now, this afternoon, Ivan will be with the goats. But come nighttime, I'm gonna put him back in here. That way he gets used to, and everybody gets used to him. They all get used to each other. Now I'll let, please Ivan, I'll let little Sophie out here with him in just a few minutes. All right, so y'all can see little Princess is eating hay. Queenie's on the other side of her. Miracle's right here. Oh, that's not a cow, is it? No, it's a little Roman. I don't see her. She's inside the stall. Little Red Riding Hood's in that stall over there. Okay. It's a little muddy in this part here. That's why they have all this here area here is good and dry. So the only time they come in here is actually get water. And I may move their water trough over on this side today. I don't like them having to walk through that mud and stuff. I moved them out of the small pen over into here. They're gentle enough now that I can walk around them a little bit. I mean, they're not gonna come up to me yet, but I can walk all the way around them and I can pet all the way down their backside. Little Red Riding Hood, for some reason, is the most skittish. And her mom is the most gentle cow in that back pasture. It's kind of crazy. But she's the most skittish out of all of them. She'll still let me run my hand down her back. But as far as just walking up and petting on her, that ain't gonna happen. And someone asked about my little gate I built for the goats to go in and out. Does it work? Yes, sir, it works. Miracle tried her best. She tried her best, sticking her head in so she could pick it up or anything, but she can't do it. And I put a little small panel over that at night. I can close it so the goats don't come in here at night. They'll go in this pen over here. All right, so I'm gonna get busy out here. I gotta feed my boy here. And he's waiting patiently. And anytime, please, Aaron. He does that cat rubbing stuff, guys. Did Roman teach you that? Did Roman teach you the rub? Let's go get your food. Let's go get it, okay? That's my boy. That's my boy. That guy, he's something else. Yo, folks. I've told you guys about my education. There's Plum Grove School Songs book, but that's the picture of the school. The only picture that I have. And there's a hallway right going this way between this building and this building. They're attached, but there's an open hallway. It's open on both ends. This room you see here is an auditorium. There's a classroom here and there's one on the other end. It was T-shaped, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But I want y'all to see that. And you can see that's probably the 8th grade class right there. I know, what, 6 people? That's probably the 8th grade class. The school only went, I know I'm shaking. The school only went 1 through 8. And after that, you went to high school in Cleveland. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. So let's talk about this school. It's a little bit more advanced. A little more advanced than Little House on the Prairie School over in Walnut Grove. My dad went to a school like that. It was a one-room school. The same place, same location. This was the new school, as you might say, and it was there for many, many years. It's no longer there. We'll talk about it. Okay. And my girl Heidi here, and Mama Cat, and Roman's here somewhere, and naturally, my boy here wants to listen to this story. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, I did not let little Sophie out yet because she makes a glutton out of herself. Oh, here he comes. Ready for story time, son? Yes, sir. I'm ready, Papa. Little Sophie, when she eats with him, she makes a glutton out of herself. And then the rest of the day, she's miserable, and sometimes it causes her to have a little bit of a poop issue. So I'm not going to let her eat with him because he shares too much with her. And I want him to get all he wants. All right, I'm going to set this up, and we're going to do a little story time here. You know, invariably, I think that's a word, Ivan, invariably. Anyway, invariably, when I'm in a conversation with somebody, and they'll say, talk about careers and what people did. And at some point, someone will say, well, Papa there was a school teacher. And there'll be some redneck in that group. And I'm probably a redneck too. Or I'm hillbilly, and I'm probably that too. We'll say, Papa went to college to be a teacher? What'd you take, Papa? P.E.? Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. I started out right here. Now, I'm going to tell you about this scoop. This is what probably distinguished me. Can you see that phone number? Phone number. 466. Have you ever seen such a phone number? 466? I remember our first phone. I remember it. I forget what year it was. It was 744J1. It was a party line. I think 6 people. And y'all know about party lines. If you don't, there's 6 people on the same line, and everybody has a different ring. Some are too short, some are long, and maybe too longs. It just varies. But you pick up the phone, somebody's on it, you just try to hang up and wait till later, and then they get off, you can pick it up and do your call. Our number was 774J1. And because y'all met him, the guy with the bowls, his phone number, if I remember right, was 744J2. And we had one long ring. Ring! It went on forever, but it was one long ring. And the thing was, just tell you how old I am. You picked up the phone, and it immediately would click to the operator. Operator. 774J1, and she'd connect you. I never made a long distance call, so I have no idea how that worked. But anyway, all right. Anyway, Ivan, I'm sorry, buddy. I got to shaking right here with Ivan. The school, Plum Grove School, elementary, and like I said, my dad went to the same location, but it was a little one-room school, and it was 1 through 8th. And my dad said back when he went, during the spring, there would be very few kids there, and very few kids in the fall, because in the spring, they had to stay home and help plant, because everyone was a farmer. And in the fall, they'd all have to stay home and help harvest. So those 2 seasons, there was very little activity at school. I remember there'd be a few coming. And also, they had wood heat, so people would deliver wood to the school ground, but the boys in the class would have to bring wood in every day for the wood heater. So it'd be dry the next morning. When the teacher would get there, he'd start the fire. And if they got running low real bad, well, they may have to make 2 or 3 trips bringing wood in. That was the boys' job. But when I went here, there was 2 classrooms, and they had 4 rows in each classroom, and each row was a class grade. Like first grade was in one row, second grade was another, and right on. There were very few kids. And the front of the room where the chalkboard was a big table, and then plus the teacher's desk. And the teacher would call one class grade at a time. Like first grade would come up, the other 3 grades would be doing some kind of assignment. The same way in the other room where it was 5th through 8th. At 8th grade, you graduated and you went to high school in Cleveland. A bus would take you on to Cleveland. Now, Mr. Batten and Miss Batten were our teachers. Miss Batten taught the lower kids, and Mr. Batten taught the 5th through 8th. And Mr. Batten also served as the principal, and the school district there furnished him a little house. It was over in the corner of the school ground. And they would call the class up, like say, for instance, first grade to come up. It would be happening in the other classroom too. First grade would come up and do their little lesson at the table. And then there would be recess. And all the kids would go out for recess. Mr. Batten, after they would go sit on their porch and have coffee or whatever, watch the kids walk around the playground, he would ring the little bell, ding, 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 and everybody come back in and go to class. And then the next grade level would be called up to the front. And it went on that way all day long. It was just a class, recess, class, recess, class, recess, right on. Now, I wasn't the sharpest crayon in the box, I know that, you know. I'm still not. Right, Abby? Don't say nothing. But anyway, I wasn't the sharpest crayon, but I'll tell you what. I'll tell you, I excelled. I excelled the best ever in recess. I was good. I was the most awesome recess kid they had. There was no game I couldn't play. And I'll tell you, in that little playground, we had a swing set, we had a slide, a merry-go-round, and what else we have out? Oh, seesaw. Old girls always like the seesaws. And on rainy days, you know, we couldn't go outside and play. We just kind of hang around, you know, draw or whatever we want to do for recess. And Mr. Batten and Miss Batten have their time to go get a cup of coffee or whatever. The little girls play their dolls all out in the big long hallway. Now, the hallway, as I told you, was open on both ends. No doors. Roof, but no doors. In that little auditorium, I guess that's where they had school board meetings, if they had those. I guess they did. Or meetings with the community or whatever. They also had a little stage, had a piano on it. And once a week, a lady, her name was Miss Carr, C-A-R, sweet lady. Oh, they're all passed on now, but she would come out once a week and teach music. And parents could sign their kids up for music, and then at the end of the year, they would have like a little recital. Well, my mom wanted us to be cultured. She wanted us to be cultured kids. So she signed my sister up for piano. And the school had a little piano up there. And asked my brother Raleigh what he wanted to do. And for some reason, he chose an accordion. Hey, we'd never seen one, but he chose that. And he saw a picture, I guess, one. Maybe he saw one of those guys with the little pet monkeys doing it, the accordion stuff. I don't know. But anyway, he chose the accordion. And she says, Gene, what do you want to do? What do you want to play? I thought long and hard. I said, Mom, I'm going to stick with cowboys and Indians. That's what I want to play. I don't want this culture stuff. Evidently, I never got it. Anyway, they played that stuff. And at the end of the year, come time for the recital, and my sister gets up and plays a little tune on the piano, and the other kids did something else. And my brother gets up with his accordion, he does that. But you know, the next year he went to high school in Cleveland, and he never went back to music at all. He wanted to play football and stuff. And that was the end of that music, and I have no idea whatever happened to that accordion. Miss Carr may have been able to sell it somewhere for my mom. I don't know. I never saw it again. But I remember going to the recital, and they, okay. Hang on, folks. Hang on. I decided to come over and love on Pawpaw for a minute. I'm gonna tell you something about this, and I'm gonna get off subject just for a minute, if y'all don't mind. I'm gonna get off subject. I went to get a shot yesterday in my knees. Y'all know I'm taking these shots at Dr. Willens' office. Dr. Willens is our doctor in New Caney, and such a good doctor. And I never feel the shots. I mean, I know I can feel the pressure of the stuff going in. It's so easy on me. And his nurse was there, Deanna, a real sweet little lady, very, very pretty. And she says, I saw your videos, Pawpaw, and saw you kissing on them goats and them donkeys and stuff. Well, I didn't tell her I've kissed a lot worse. I wasn't gonna say that to her. But anyway, talking about him for a minute, my son Daniel, and I think Lester goes there too. It's a family practice, anyway, there in New Caney, Texas. And Daniel said, Dad, Dr. Willens is the only doctor I'll use, because he said, I've had these sinus infections off and on. I think job related, because he's on them jobs where all that dust is flying, that stabilizing stuff they put in the soil and stuff for the highways and stuff, and he's overseeing them, and he's up and down them, walking up and down them roads, pointing stuff out, and he gets a sinus congestion and it gets infected. He said, Dr. Willens is the only doctor I can go to, and he'll take me in and give me a shot of something and some medicine. He said, Dad, by the time I get to work, I can breathe, it's clearing out. He said, nowhere else can do that. They'll give me medicine that'll last 3 or 4 days before I can even breathe, through my nose again. So yeah, that's the doctor we use. Good doctor and sweet people. But anyway, she was talking about me kissing like I did Ivan. And but back to my story. I don't want to get off track. Anyway, I never took no music. And I'll tell you one more thing about this school. It's up off the ground, okay? It's about 2 foot off the ground. And I know Mr. Batten had to know. He had to know what was going on underneath that school, but he never said a word. Us boys, over the years, not just our class, but over the years, us boys had dug trenches, like trench warfare almost. But they went all over the school, everywhere. There's L's and bends and curves and T's and it was about so deep. If you knew where they're at, we didn't dig right up to the edge. We left them dug back about 2 foot from the side, or 3 foot. You could be running, somebody chasing you, drop down, you roll up in there and hit that trench. You know right where they come out at. Hit that trench, you'd be gone. And nobody could ever see where you was at. I don't know why it kept us from getting snake bit or something in that place, but we never did. We just never did. And but you could always tell who played in the trenches, because when class would come back in, you can see where the guys that played in the trench, there'd be sand all on the floor around their chair. The sand would be dropping off their clothes and off their arms. Now, lunchtime. Our little lunchroom was about 30 foot long. It wasn't, I bet, 12 foot wide. This little narrow shotgun type room. You come in on one end where the lady, the cook was, Miss May, and I'm gonna tell you what we eat. Yeah, and this is true. We had some type of beans every day. I guess that was our protein. It might be some kind of applesauce for the dessert in our little tray. Then the cornbread. But I guarantee you, we had hominy every day. I hate hominy. I won't eat hominy today. It's like wet popcorn, just nasty. And I guess it was because the government sent this stuff out, you know, and so they cooked what they got when they sent them. They must have had an overabundance of hominy that year, or those years, I guess. But one more thing about this school at lunchtime is you come in, you took your little tray, and they had 2 tables on both sides next to the wall with benches. Ivan. Come on, Ivan, seriously. Seriously. You gotta make up your mind. And Ivan don't wanna cooperate. Okay, he's gonna leave for a while. Set that up. Anyway, you come in and take your tray, you sit on the bench, you're facing the wall. You can see it out the windows. You face the wall on little benches. And the kids on the other table will be sitting with their back to you. And as soon as you finish eating, it don't take long to eat some beans and cornbread. If you don't care for the applesauce, sure don't with that hominy. Out the door you went. And going out the door, because you want to go play anyway. Out the door, there was a big tub, wash tub, full of water. And on the other side of the door was a little barrel. And you'd shake your tray off in that barrel, all your scraps and milk carton. And then you put your fork and your spoon, whatever you had, and your tray in this tub of water, and you went on to play. A guy would come in the evenings, late every evening, after school, and he would bring a clean barrel and take the old barrel full of food and trash and stuff, go feed his pigs. Yeah, he fed his pigs, and he'd bring a clean barrel the next day, or for the next day, and he kept swapping them out every day. And anyway, I graduated from there and went off to Cleveland High School. I graduated in Cleveland, joined the Marines, and I've done a little of everything. You know, I've been in law enforcement, you know, for years and years. I was in construction for a while, and I got tired of never being at home when I was in law enforcement. You know, we was never home, and that's a different story. I'll tell you about it one day, because we was a very rural county, and there's just a few of us. And if you ever watched that series called Longmire, it's a whole lot like that. Our sheriff was a cowboy, and we were all cowboys, and only a few of us. We had a lot of country to cover. But we'll talk about that another time. But I was never home, so I wanted to get out of that after years and years. And so I got an opportunity to go to work at the school and become a shop teacher. And but they said, well, you got to take these courses up at Sam Houston, you know, and more or less about teaching and stuff like that. But there's one course you got to take through a correspondence course. It's called government. Now, why do I need government if I'm going to teach a shop class? Someone in Austin, I guess, is a lot smarter than me. That's hard to believe, I know, but they may be. So I took a correspondence course, and nowadays it's called online. Back then you sent off, you know, whatever university, I think it was Texas Tech, and they would send you the course lessons each week, you know, and when you finished all of them, then you would go up to Sam Houston to the university and take your test in front of another professor, so I guess you wouldn't cheat. Me, cheat? On a test? So, anyway, I become a shop teacher. And Mr. Batten, my old principal from Plum Grove, was teaching there in Cleveland also at that time, because, you know, they had consolidated the Plum Grove School into the school district in Cleveland, so they tore the old school down, and they sold him that property where the little house was for him and Miss Batten to live the rest of their lives, and they did. And in fact, when they passed away, they willed their property to the church, Plum Grove Baptist Church, and half of it to the cemetery, because the school property set back in behind the church and the cemetery. There's a lane come between the church and the cemetery back into the school property. So they wheeled it half and half, so that lane now goes right into property for both. But he would come down to my shop on his off periods, and we would just visit for the longest. And we talked about the old days in school and the old auditorium there in Plum Grove, and compared to the one there in Cleveland to school. And I think the auditorium had a little stage, you know, with the piano, but it also had like benches for people to sit on. Like there's like 4 or 5 benches, 12 foot long on each side of a little aisle that come down the middle. And that's this little building here. This little building here was the auditorium. And but the benches are on both sides, and like I say, a stage on this end here. But we had a lot of fun talking, you know, going back, talking about the old days at that school. And anyway, when I took my courses up there at Sam Houston, and there were some of us had a little gathering one evening, and some guys from different places had showed up, and they was all talking about the different jobs they had, and you know, not to be I guess left out, I mentioned something about, well, I taught school for 20 years, and sure enough, heard that hillbilly over there in the corner, or hey, Papa, you went to college? What'd you take, P.E.? Yeah, well, I also took reading and writing, and I was real good in my numbers. leave that hanging with him. Let him go home scratching his head. Numbers. But I had a great time as a teacher. I taught for 20 years. I retired in 2001. I kept driving a bus. I've always drove a bus. I've drove a bus for 41 years. 41 years. And my kids rode my bus. And then later, the last 10 years I drove a special needs bus, and Levi, my grandson, he was autistic. He says he's amazingly autistic, Kim's son. And he rode my bus. And that's when I sang that old river song to him. I saw a lot of comments on that too. Thank y'all. Little songs he sang to Levi, he'd get the biggest kick out of it. And Levi knows some songs. But I'll tell you something about Levi. Don't ever watch a movie with Levi. Never. Because he wants to hold that remote. If it comes to a part he likes, he wants to rewind. Rewind. You can sit down there and go down there for dinner on Sunday, and you'll see the same scenes. Ivan, you can't just walk over people. Bad donkey. Move this camera. He gonna step on me, or the camera won. All right, go down there, and while you're eating lunch, Levi got his lunch over there in front of the TV, and you'll see the same scenes over and over and over. Anyway, if you folks are always wondering about Pawpaw and his education, you just saw it. I enjoyed Plum Grove Elementary. I enjoyed recess. That was my favorite subject. And I was the best in recess. And I'll tell you something, a funny thing about old schools like that. You got hurt. They just took you home. You know, I was playing one day, and I come around the corner. I was running. I was fast. Back in, I was fast. I come around the corner, and I'm hooking them. I mean, I'm traveling. And a buddy of mine, in fact, he's one of the guys that, you know, if y'all ever watched the Turkey Woman video, one of the guys helped me get the turkeys off of Gigi. We worked together. But he was coming the other way. And we run head on each other. I had a knot here on my forehead. It knocked me out. Seriously, I don't remember nothing. Mr. Batten loaded me up the truck, and he picked over my old buddy there, his name was Thurman. Got him. Didn't knock Thurman out, but it knocked him silly. And he took us both on. When I woke up, I was in my mom's bed with a wet, cold rag on my forehead, and she gave me a couple of aspirin. I probably had a concussion. Who knows what? Maybe that's why I act like I act now. She should have took me to a doctor. You didn't go to the doctors back then unless you was in bad shape. But anyway, that's what I'm going to tell y'all about Plum Grove Elementary School. And before I close, I want to look at some stuff here. Because this is, you can say it's how far we've come, or you say how far we've went back. I don't know. Ivan, please. Please. Oh. Some of the old addresses and the old phone numbers are amazing, like that. This one here, Cleveland Hardware telephone number is 264. And Hills Insurance is 466. Now here's a more modern phone number though. It must have been right about the time they go change, because this was Bowman Flowers is called. It was LY2 2604. See, that's not too far back. But this was our school, Plum Grove Elementary, 1 through 8, and then you were high school bound. Now, one thing, and I'm gonna close. Outside this fence, that lane that went into this school, outside there, you could ride horses to school. They didn't care, but you had to tie your horse outside the fence. We rode old Jim. I told you about my dad's old horse. He was a stallion for many years. Then my dad had him neutered. And men around this community, everybody loved Jim. Big, beautiful horse. And they would ride their mares over, take the saddles off and put them in the corral with Jim, and he'd breed them. Then they'd get back on, saddle their horse up and ride their horses back home. He was popular, but he was a good horse. He's so big, you could put 3 or 4 kids up on his back at the same time. He didn't care. But we'd ride bareback to school, me and my brother, tie his bridle to the fence because you couldn't take him inside the schoolyard. There's shade trees there, so it wasn't going to get hot. We come out of school. In fact, we come out for lunch or recess sometime. You see that bridle hanging on the fence. Jim done left. And my mom would say, yeah, I was out hanging the clothes on the line, and I looked up, and here comes Jim down the driveway. Then walked that 3 miles down that old dirt road. He coming home. He was tired of that education. And you could ride bikes. You could walk. And us young kids, you know, we'd wear those old cut-off shorts and T-shirts in good weather, barefooted. I don't know if anybody ever got hurt going barefooted up there, but we did. We go barefooted up. The upperclassmen, the upper class, you know, like 7th and 8th grade, they was getting a little more sophisticated. They'd wear shoes. And the girls always wore shoes. You know, the girls always was trying to be pretty. And we had some pretty girls there too. But probably because I was so advanced. That's why I didn't marry anybody from around here. Well, they probably don't believe that. All right, guys, I'm going to cut that off. I just wanted y'all to see the old Plum Grove School. It was a great place to be, great place to go. I don't think I ever played sick, so I wouldn't have to go to school. It was fun. So many recesses. I love recess. I excelled, folks. I excelled in recess. So I'm going to close it there and get this out to y'all, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's all true. I ought to tell true stories. Right, Ivy? Me and my donkey. Me and my donkey down here eating. All right. And yes, Deanna, at the doctor's office, I'm going to kiss him. Ivy, you want to kiss? Bye, folks. Y'all have a great day.